At the beginning of the year, we said ethics reform was going to be a pillar of our agenda for the year. We ran into some hurdles, mostly caused by the Democratic Party, who claims they wanted ethics reform, but had no interest in actually having an opportunity to vote on ethics reform, like you saw today. But what we did is we came up with a bill that we could attach proposals to that, if you look at the proposals, most of them were actually on Democratically sponsored bills. And so we brought it forward, we eliminated bribery, we capped what you could receive in lobbyist gifts. We made it to where if you made an appointment, whether it be from the Speaker or the Pro Tem or the Governor, that the amount of money that individual has given you in the previous 4 years is disclosed, which I think is reasonable. And so I think when you look at the bill as a whole, it's probably the most aggressive ethics bill that you'll see in the country this year. We're proud of that bill. It's moved on to the Senate.
Difference between your deviating from the process and they're deviating from the process, in both cases using elements of the process that are allowed and constitutional.
Sure, I think, sure. A couple things. One, their deviation from the process helps eliminate public input. And the committee process is the only process in this whole process that basically the public has to be the input. And I think when you subvert that, that's a problem. You've got Democrats around the state talking about how they want ethics reform, but whenever the bell rang and they had an opportunity to stand up for the citizens of this state, they said no. And I told you why it would occur, and the reason it's occurred because they don't want ethics reform. We're going to extreme lengths to try and get something done for the people of this state. And I'm sorry that the Democrats don't feel the same way. When you look at the bill as a totality, I think it's a strong bill. I think it's a good bill. I think it's good for the citizens of this state. And I'm going to fight to keep each and every provision. And the Speaker has the authority to determine who the conference committee is. I hope that he'll consider me. But if he doesn't, I will still look to find a compromise and get a significant ethics bill through. But I will tell you with 100% certainty that this is a good bill. And whenever I inquired of the minority leader and asked him to point out one provision on ethics that he disagreed with, he fumbled around and couldn't come up with one answer. Couldn't come up with one answer.
Realistically, what do you think can emerge out from a conference committee?
I think we're going to get a very, very aggressive ethics bill.
I mean, realistically, what?
Realistically, I think if you look at the paycheck protection, I think that's realistic. Okay, if you look at the bribery statute, I think that's realistic. If you look at the cap on lobbyist gifts and meals, I think that's realistic. If you look at the disclosure for appointees whenever they get appointed, so we have to disclose how much they've given the person that's appointed, I think that's realistic. If you look at the provision where if you're appointed, you cannot give to the person that appointed you, I think that's realistic. I think that's good common sense government that this House passed without Democratic support, and I think it shows the true colors of the Democrats that they want to use, like I told you, Tony, last week or earlier this week, that they want to use ethics as a punching bag, but they don't want to achieve it. This caucus, under the Speaker's leadership, wants to achieve it. We understand there's another process to it. Hopefully, the Senate will take it up and pass it. But if they choose not to, we're prepared to go to conference and find common ground. So at the end of the year, we can pass an ethics bill that the citizens of the state can be proud of.